are some concerns, like how would you help me or what would I do? That's where I got this idea. It is something I'm concentrating in a bigger picture. There is a lot happening in the background for IP. IP is such a field that you do not need an advanced degree to understand or own it. Every person currently has an IP. Trademark is a form of IP. That baffled me. Like, her business was doing so well. There was a brand recognition, but she did not have any trademark or anything related to it. So when we actually got the trademark and everything, the whole value of her product changed. That's how much important is IP. And I really hope everybody understands the, value of IP. It's not just patents are higher and trademarks are lower. No, trademark, when used properly and suggested and processed properly, can be of like maximum benefit for the person who's doing it. So yeah, that's about it from my end. Actually, I did not prepare much, but then
it is absolutely great. So Deepa ma'am, I just want more that how did you decided that you want to have your corporate career in IP? Because I think this will inspire a lot of our audience today.
Yeah. So it was just one proper Saturday afternoon in my college. And we had a guest lecture from one of the faculty from a law college. And the faculty who came for the seminar was talking about IP. When I heard this was something I have never heard of. Although we have used trademarks as, everyday word, but it really was very amusing for me. So that's when I started researching about intellectual properties. And now I understand that if done properly, it is worth millions and billions. Like, you never know. The next patent application you're working, if it goes to an infringement suit, it will be worth billions for the client. So you have so much money on your hand that you're helping client for it. And that was one of the way that I was inspired to get into IP. That was like, I didn't have to have so much of knowledge, but then this helped me to be someone, it made me connect to whatever is happening. But that was one of the inspiration. And then the second, like I said, it was the people who are in and around us coming up with their homegrown products to do something. And IP was not so far of reach. When people think of IP, most of the people think of only patents. The trademarks and copyrights always take a background. So when I saw that, how much it is important to them, that was my second point of inspiration why, yes, I am in the right field helping people. That was really great for me during the pandemic. I think that is what kept me going, seeing that a lot of startups from our neighboring places, my neighbors and people in my native coming up with their products. That was an amazing move, and that inspired me more to, give more to IP now.
Thank you, ma'am. It was indeed a great session. And then I can see we have like 86 people live attending this session now. So which is awesome. And Shiza ma'am would like, maybe we'll start with the next of our featured speaker today. Thank you, Deepa ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the second speaker is Zixuan Wang. She's in technical advisory for patent litigation at Kommit Techno-Legal LLP. She has a degree in Masters of Engineering and also an alumni and mentor of Imperial College London. We welcome you, ma'am.
Hi, thank you so much for the introduction. I'm not going to talk about the industry just because it's not really specific to my role, but I'm going to talk more about my specific journey, but also hiring, which is what I think most students in this group care about, which is, getting a job. So I'm a partner at Kommit. What we do at Kommit is technical consulting for patent litigations. So we're really a bridge between, the technological components of a patent and helping legal teams understand what that means in pre-litigation. So if you're an engineer, you're going to realize that if you explain some kind of technology to a lawyer, they're not going to understand what it means. But comes to the litigation, a lawyer will need to go explain it to a judge, to a regular person, to help them understand how they're going to win the case. And what does winning the case mean? It means getting more damages, getting more money, adding more claims that you can sue another party for. And so I really like to call ourselves like translators between the engineers and lawyers. So my whole team were all engineers. I mean, one of us is a lawyer as well, but we really just sit down and explain verbally to lawyers, this is what the legal implication is of this technical strength or this technical weakness. And I started this business 2 years ago. You can probably tell I'm not from India. My partner's Indian, and I moved here to start this business. 2 years ago, I didn't even know what a patent was. I didn't even care, to be honest. And, a lot of people will be like, oh, you must have such a deep passion for patents. And that is just not the reality for me. So what happened was my two business partners, one of my business partners is my real life partner. They had worked in the patent industry, and they were like, come on, let's start a business in patents. I was like, okay, yeah, like, what should we do? And they were like, oh, let's start a software company, which is not what we did. But that was the origination. And I said, look, I want you guys do the patent work. I'll do whatever else there is in the business. So my main focus in the business is actually business development, which really, in short, means sales and hiring, and which is why I kind of want to talk about, hiring in particular. Just to explain, like Shiza said, I'm a mechanical engineer, but I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a patent agent, and I don't even service the clients. So what I really want to highlight is that I think there are certain specific issues in India around recruitment, which really hinders the progression of professionals in the IP industry. So one of them is, I think, the lack of diversity of patent roles outside of traditional prosecution, litigation, and patent analysis. So, you talk to a patent professional and they'll say, I file patents, I do litigation, I look at infringement mappings, I do prior art search, right? Everybody does that. But this is so common in India, whereas when you look at international firms, you will find patent professionals in such a wide variety of roles. They are not limited to just analyzing patents. For example, like I said, I don't look at any patents. I really just do business development, which is just talking to people and saying, essentially, do you like me enough? Like, do you want to work with me at some point and then pay me money for some services? So, half my time is spent on LinkedIn, half my time is spent on going to conferences and just, sweet talking people until they give me money, in short. Especially if you look at the US, there are other roles like thought leadership, content creation, marketing. These patent professionals are writing that. They are people who are creating content to give business exposure. When I was at university, at least, we had, startup incubator programs where people would teach us about IP. Those roles really exist outside of India, and I'm not seeing them happen in India. I feel like people are pigeonholed into these analyst roles, which I think they shouldn't be. The other thing I've seen is, especially outside of India, more of these technology companies come up. I think what people get confused by is that these technology companies are run by software developers. They are not. They are run by patent professionals who have a business idea within the IP space, and the software developers are just there to facilitate the creation of it. I don't know if you guys have heard of PatSnap, which is a really big patent analyst tool, and the people who are on it, the people who are there, they're patent professionals, but they don't, they're not sitting at their desk. A lot of it is business development. They're going to conferences, they're saying, this is my product, this is the product, and come pay us money and you can use the software. In India we've got backhill search as well, which is a trademark search. I mean, all I'm really trying to say is that I think in India specifically, a lot of people's mentalities is that there are only specific roles that you can go into, and that is not true. Another problem in India I see is the lack of equal opportunity to roles within IP. So if you come from a family of lawyers, if you are wealthier, if you live in a city, if you're better connected, these are all things which do affect how, your job opportunities. But I do think there are lots of ways that this can be countered. So like I said, because I do a lot of hiring, what I typically find is that there's a lack of professionalism and there's a lack of ability to convey who you are. So okay, this is just from my personal experience. I review a lot of CVs, okay? Most CVs are well structured, good grammar, good spelling, everything is organized, and that paints a picture of who you are to me. And I say, okay, look, this is a great person, I want to interview them. But the minute I have any interaction with you, that lack of professionalism completely disappears. That could be in your emailing. As a recruiter, I'm judging you despite never having seen you. So I can only go from your CV, I can only go from your emails or the way you interview. If on your CV, every word is spelled correctly, all your grammar is correct, but the minute you email me, you're like, hello there, ... I would like to interview ... like that is telling me that you are not the person you say you are on your CV. And that is what a recruiter is really trying to find out. You absolutely cannot stand out alone on your CV, because there are hundreds of patent analysts looking for the same job. But it's about, what is the impression that you give someone even prior to speaking to them, even prior to messaging them. And really, I think, all I'm trying to say is that kind of professionalism can put you so much further ahead of anyone else, irrespective of whatever disadvantages you have, whether that is a lack of experience or, you're not able to work at a physical office because maybe you're constrained at home, whatever the reason is. And I just think in India specifically, there is not this sense of teaching soft skills. So a soft skill is, can you write an email professionally? Are you on time? If you're 1 minute late to an interview, an online interview, that is telling me that you cannot turn up on time in real life, right? Have you researched a company? Why do you want to work there? Like the number of times I interview someone, I say, oh, so what do you know about my firm? The first thing they always say is, you are a very reputable firm, and therefore I want to work there. That is, generic answers like that apply to every single firm in the country. I could tell you every patent firm in the country is a reputable firm, but there is absolutely just a lack of preparation from most students. And that is honestly what lets most people down, irrespective of how many hard skills being your degree, internships, work experience. All these things are very auxiliary to whether or not you can work and fit into an organization. And I just feel like that is really what can set most people apart. And I just want to talk a little bit about, if you are, I'm being blunt, but if you are from a less privileged background, what are the skills you can develop with limited resources? So like I said, things like soft skills, like working on your emailing and working on your CV, and how you present yourself in an interview. Are you prepared? Are you doing your extra research? If people are at university, there are lots of societies and things you can join to take on responsibility to upskill. The internet is better connected than ever, and you can go on LinkedIn. Yes, I think LinkedIn in India is not great, but there are still professionals who you can speak to and increase your network. And I think there's also this mentality that if you are from a less privileged background, or you don't have the connections, that you can't make it, because I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but as someone who is not Indian and has come here to build their own network, I just think the internet is just so powerful in that sense, and that you can do so much, right? Yes, I think being different can make you stand out, and that professionalism really goes a long way in the patent professional industry. The last thing I want to touch on is two things. I've seen this trend because it's International Women's Day, I've seen this trend of women not going for roles when they think they don't qualify. So if I go review 100 applications, let's say 50 are male, 50 are female, the reality is that women will just not apply for jobs unless they think they qualify all of them. Whereas for men, they will apply irrespective of not having any of the qualifications. And, that really makes it difficult for women to succeed. And I think I'm just trying to say that, you should just try and go for it, even if there's kind of like some self-doubt from your own end, because, most men don't think that. They just think, well, I'm just going to go for it anyway. And if I get rejected, I get rejected. And also just, this mentality to try new things. Everyone is so idealistic about what what a job is going to be like, and what the industry is going to be like, or what, you know, this firm is going to be like. But you have to keep trying those things in order to find out. So I don't really have a conclusion, but that's it.
Awesome. I think there were some great tips, because a lot of the people who are doing this session today, they are really struggling. They are the ones who are starting their career in IP. They're preparing for patent agent examination, which is happening on 8th of May. So they can really utilize these tips. And one I have a very interesting question for you, that how you decided that IP is the one which really inspires you every day to come out of bed and start working.
I'll tell you the truth, it doesn't. Because for me, my ultimate goal was always to start my own business. I think that was what excited me. And what excites me about my job is interacting with people. So yes, I happen to be in the IP industry, but because I really love meeting people and it is part of my job, I have the motivation to do that every day. And it makes me excited to talk about patents and IP and the state of the industry. But, you know, that's the thing. A lot of people are not. I think a lot of people just want to pretend that they have this like overwhelming enthusiasm or something, you know, for IP. And the reality is most of us are just, you know, going day by day and enjoying it as it is. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So how is the cultural differences, and how you are coping up with that? Because you're interviewing, I guess, most of the Indian clientage here, or Indian people. So do you think the language or the culture barrier is the one you face as a challenge?
I would say again, the biggest barrier is professionalism. So, you know, having grown up in the UK, just the lack of, you know, just the preparation for interviews, for emails, that is what really helps people stand out. And that quality is a lot higher there, but it is lower here. And that is okay. But that's why I keep emphasizing on, even if you are from a less privileged background, you can stand out so much just through this, just being extra professional. Which is just not industry standard. And I understand why it happens, because even if you go look at these big firms, the partners there are not professional either. You know, they turn up half an hour late. And so how do you expect yourself to be professional? And so it's difficult.
Awesome. That was a great session from you, and I think you surely, like, a lot of people must have got some inspiration. People are writing some comments, but yeah, that they are asking that how it is fit, what we can do. But yeah, they are general questions. Thank you so much for giving your precious time.
So, ma'am, the third speaker is Vandana Prabhu, ma'am. She is working as an IP attorney for patents and trademarks at Siemens Healthineers. She has a degree of Masters in Biotechnology from University of Madras and a LLB in IPL Law from IIT Kharagpur. She is also a certified patent and trademark agent. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shiza. I was about to give a bit of my introduction, but you covered most of it. Yeah, I would like to start my discussion. I wanted to start off with giving some overview about what it takes for a professional to be a successful in-house counsel. But I'm just looking at the chat, and there are some questions about what really IP is. So I just want to spend 2 minutes on that and give people a perspective on what IP is all about. I'm assuming there would be a mixed crowd here. So for people who do not know what IP is intellectual property. Basically, it's creations of mind. So anything that comes out of your intellect will be identified as intellectual property. And similar to any physical property that you own, intellectual property also will have certain rights associated with it. And depending on the kind of intellectual property you create, there are different forms of rights associated. So I'm sure, during your education or during your tenure, you must have come across some terminologies like patents, trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets, so on and so forth. So each of these rights are associated with different forms of intellectual property. And that's the background I wanted to set before we move on. Right. So I would like to take this time or take my slot to give some perspective on what it takes for someone to be an in-house counsel, and how can you have a successful career in IP as an in-house counsel. So basically, I'd like to start off with telling what got me here. Similar to Deepika, I think it was one of the one of the sessions which was done during my master's degree, which gave me some perspective on what really IP is all about. And then I researched a bit more, and I got into this law degree or the law course at IIT Kharagpur. And since then, I have a passion for IP, and I wanted to explore this field a bit more. And I expected an in-house role would give me that sort of exposure to different forms of IP. For basically, when it comes to the expectations of someone in a in-house counsel role and in a law firm, or a professional in a law firm role, would be completely different, or different to a large extent. And I'd like to take this opportunity to speak a little bit on the skill sets that one must have as an IP counsel. So let's start with being well-versed in the technology fields, right? So let's say you're in an organization which specializes in a certain technological field. So for me, if I'd like to take the example of healthcare, and so that means I need to know what the what and what about the organization, what is happening, the up-to-date aspects of healthcare, where exactly is the technology headed, what are the new forms of technologies which are being used in making the healthcare field quite quite interesting and quite well developed for the patients or whoever is the user. So I need to be up to date about that. That's not how you want to limit yourself, although you should also be open to cross-pollination of technology fields, because it's not always possible that you would be working, or you would have a working knowledge of only a single type of technological field, for example. If I were to again go back to the healthcare setup, there would be different inventions coming up in the field of AI. There would be maybe applications on blockchain, cloud computing, so on and so forth, right? So I cannot just be limited to having knowledge just on AI and say somebody else will take care of matters related to blockchain and others. So I need to be up to date on all these things to make sure that I'm the right fit, and I'm able to cater to the business needs in the best way possible. Second aspect that I'd like to point out, which is of importance, is to build a good connect with the business stakeholders. As an in-house counsel, you cannot be expected to, give your performance or perform in an individual capacity. You need to work very closely with the business, understand what exactly is the need, where are they headed, as a future, what is the future roadmap of the organization, of the certain product offering which we are providing to the customers. That helps us in understanding what would be the right IP strategy to adopt for that particular invention, or which countries to look at, for example. Yeah. So the business folks would be able to give us some perspective on what are the right markets for us. Why exactly is it important for us to protect the right forms of invention? Yeah, IP, filing for an IP, protecting it is a cost intensive matter, and you would not want to file IP for anything and everything under the sun. So you have to be a bit more judgmental, or you need to be a bit careful about what you pick as right for your organization, and having that connect with your business stakeholders really helps. So yes, so not just the IP landscape, but also understanding the business landscape hand in hand with the tech landscape really helps in having that holistic knowledge. One other thing which is of importance for me is to manage different types of stakeholders, because in an in-house counsel role, you would come across different people, different types of stakeholders who would have different requirements of you. And you would have to be very thoughtful about what is the kind of information you want to share with them. So the same information maybe will have to be provided in different ways to different people, depending on the kind of knowledge that they would have on that particular topic. and what would be their requirement, from you. So managing different types of stakeholders, not just from an information point of view, but also from a responsibility point of view, is really important. And that needs to be taken care of quite well. Some other points that I would like to indicate, maybe in general, would be to have a growth mindset, of course. You need to have a perspective on where exactly do you want to, grow in your career. And build a roadmap for yourself. See where do you want to be 1 year down the line. Assuming or thinking where you're going to be 5 years down the line, it's a long roadmap, of course, and one of the favorite interview questions, if I'm not wrong, that people would like to know. But start small, see where you want to head, and how you want to grow yourself, and then break it down to, let's say, your monthly goal or a quarterly goal, and see how you want to achieve it, or what should you be doing to achieve your particular goal, right? So that is one of the things. And one other bit from my side would be that, so once you've defined your goal, start working in that direction from the point of view that, if, let's say, you're aiming for a certain role, right, or a promotion or some sort of knowledge growth, start acting in that way and see what can you do to fit into that new role that you're aspiring for. Because having a mindset that you'll get a promotion and then you'll start acting in the new role is probably not the best thing to have. You need to be open for the for the opportunities, and grab whatever comes your way, and prove the fact that you're capable of growing, and you're capable of fitting into that new role that you're aspiring for. Something that has helped me is also to have mentors. I would recommend having more than one mentor, because it's very difficult to find one single person who can help you, in different aspects of your growth. So identify the right set of people who would be there to help you, who will ask you tough questions, right? So don't shy away from these questions, because these tough questions are the ones which will help you think in a different way, help you think outside the box. So that I would definitely recommend. It would be difficult in the beginning, because it's not always easy being confronted, but yeah, it will definitely get easier with time. Know your audience, because in an in-house counsel role, different people would want different kinds of information from you. So tune your content accordingly. Don't shy away from asking for help. This is one of the issues which I also had. I used to think that I'm expected to do everything, everything end to end, but perhaps it's not that. Maybe it's that it's a bias that you have in your mind, and there are people out there who are open to helping you out and helping you understand, or share your burden, right? So don't shy away from that, and that will actually take you a long way. Be open to learning from seniors, peers, juniors, everyone around you. So in my career of 8 years with Siemens, I was blessed to have a team from whom I could learn so much. And, people are always open to sharing knowledge, and keeping our ego aside, and going ahead and asking them would really help you, because you're in this together, and we are here to support each other. And that is the mindset I think you need to carry, irrespective of gender, of course, be it man or woman. I think this is something that you need to keep in mind in terms of, your growth, and where you want to head yourself, where you want to take yourself in your career. One of the long-term challenges that I see in an in-house counsel role is that it would be quite difficult, or it's not very straightforward, rather, to switch fields within IP. Usually because in an organization, everything would be fairly defined. And of course, depending on the kind of organization you're in, this may be quite subjective. But you need to as you grow, as you go, or as you build your experience in the field of IP as an in-house counsel, you need to understand where exactly do you want to grow, right? Are you interested in a counseling role where you speak very closely with the business and harvest inventions, or are you interested on the licensing side, technology transfer side? There are different aspects to it. And once you've identified what is it that floats your boat, try to take up projects, ask for projects. Not everything comes your way directly or immediately. Asking always helps, because it increases your visibility, of course, and gives the other people, or your seniors maybe, who are responsible of giving away these or handing out these projects, and understanding that you're interested, right? So that way, they would, of course, reach out to you when an opportunity opens up, and start slow, make mistakes, it's okay. You would learn with time, and that would always help you switch fields, or just establish your potential there, which will help the right people to pick you and help you move into that different fields of IP. So yeah, so these are some points or some takeaways from my career at IP.
Great, awesome, Vandana. That was a great and enlightening session. And again, my question again to every speaker here is that what is their greatest inspiration when they think that morning you have to get out of bed and start working? So what inspires and motivates them?
My motivation, to be honest, is my thirst for knowledge, I would say, because as an IP counsel, every day to a large extent is new, because you get to see so many new developments in the technological field, right? And as an IP counsel, you would get that first-hand information. Not everybody has that privilege. You get to know how how the technology is growing, what is going to happen in the future. You get that perspective, and I think that really excites me and helps me get out of bed and be on my desk most of the time. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Vandana ma'am. That was a great session, and I hope my audience are loving it. And I'm seeing a very tremendous response that we have got a lot of audience. So over to you, Shiza ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So I would introduce my fourth eminent speaker, Dr. Shilpa Arora. She is a patent litigation specialist who has a degree in medicine and surgery and master's in pharmaceutical drug regulatory affairs. She is also a registered patent agent with Indian Patent Office. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Cheshta, for having me, inviting me as a speaker. A very happy Women's Day to all my fellow co-speakers and attendees to this session. So very well briefed about me. Coming from a medicine background, I have a very, people will think it was a very different background, and a person with a medicine degree getting into the fields of patents and then IP as a whole. It's a very different experience. And I want to share with the attendees here my entire experience coming from the medicine background. And especially for the people who have no idea about what is IP, how they can, I can see so many questions about how they can get into IP. And I can see myself 15 years back in the very same stage, the questions which they're asking. So it was a very challenging phase for me. I would not deny that, coming from a medicine background and later on getting into the patents field. I'll share, it was way back in 2007 when I got to know about the fields of patents. I was about to finish my medicine degree, and I got to know from someone that, okay, this is a field which you can try. Otherwise, I couldn't even imagine getting into the fields of patents. So somebody told me that, okay, this is a nice field which you can try, but then you have to become a patent agent for that. I said, what is a patent agent? I was clueless about it. Then they told me, okay, you have to clear this exam and then only you can get into the fields of patents. I said, fine, okay, I'll clear this exam and then I'll get into this field and see if this interests me or not. Then what I did was I started preparing for the patent agent examination in 2007. And it was a very challenging phase for me. Why? Because I had no idea what is a Bare Act. How does one read law? How do you read the sections, the provision, the provisos? How do you read the rules? I had no clue about it. I only knew about what is anatomy, physiology, and everything. So I took a lot of help day in and day out. I used to go to the law firms and ask people how to read it, how to read it. I am very interested to know how do people read it. So by God's grace, and I think I won't deny, by hard work, I cleared the exam, and I was one amongst the 10 students, 10 people in India who cleared the exam that time. It was a very difficult exam, and in the first attempt itself. But the journey just started from there. It was difficult at that time, even after I cleared the patent agent exam. So when I was working as an in-house in an in-house role as a R&D officer in one pharma company at that point of time, and somewhere I was not happy with the work which I was doing. I thought maybe I should try. Somewhere I felt that something is missing, and even my seniors told me, okay, why don't you try the patents field? It's very interesting. You are a patent agent already. I said, okay, I'll try. Then I started applying to law firms, KPOs randomly. Okay, okay, I want to get into this. I want to see how it works. People thought I was overqualified. They said, why should we take a doctor who wants to get into patents? We just need BSc people. We don't need doctors. Okay. So that was quite surprising for me. But then I was adamant enough. Okay, I want to get into this field. I will try my best. So my first, I remember my first job was with ZSIP, and my mentor there, Ms. Gunjan Paharia. She is the first female mentor of mine in my entire journey, where she motivated me. Okay, you handle everything, and she gave me all the files, and she said she start reading and advise clients on this. I was clueless. You've cleared the patent agent exam, but you don't have any experience out of it. So clearing the patent agent exam, my first step to all the aspirants here, is not the only thing. It's just the start. So my journey in law firm started with reading the files with paralegals. So I couldn't even read the files. So I started reading the files, and I even assisted the paralegals in taking the printouts and everything from the start. So as the journey began, I enjoyed it and I liked it, and then I pursued my law, and then I forayed into trademarks as well as with copyrights. But then my first love always will be patents. So my key takeaways to all the attendees here who wants to get into the field of IP, in particular patents, what I have observed is there are few skills which a candidate should have if they want to get into the field of patents. First skill, the first important skill is, apart from having the right technical background, is you must have a very good analytical skills. Without that, I think even if you have the right technology in front of you, you know how to read between the lines, because that's what makes you a skilled patent attorney or a patent agent. Without that, it's just a piece of paper for you. If you have the right skills of analyzing, okay, how this piece of technology is correlated to the field of law, then only you can get to a right conclusion. So that's what I find missing in most of the candidates who want to grow into the field of patents. So right analytical skills is one. And apart from that, reading is very important. What do you mean by reading? Reading not just the Bayer Act, not just the controller's decisions. Reading the court's decisions is very important. This is what I find really missing in most of the people, that they want to get into the patents, but then you have to understand it's a lifelong reading, it's a lifelong learning. I'm still a learner and a keen student in IP. So every day I'm reading, every day I'm learning something new. So if you are somebody who shies away from reading, then this is not the field for you. I'm very upfront in that. And you have to read a lot. Please read court decisions to actually understand what that particular section means. And unless you are very clear with what the sections are, what are the provisions, and you cannot apply these to your real life facts, real life scenarios, which your clients throw away at you, you cannot advise on any of the IP matters. So those who are asking that if I'm late in my 20s and can I grow in this field, I think I've answered everyone that if you want to grow in this field, you can, absolutely you can. but you must have the right skills. You can develop those skills. I'm not saying that you cannot develop those skills. These are very well, these can be developed. Like I told you, reading is must, and right analytical skills. And on top of it, I must say that if one is interested in getting into IP, then not just theoretical knowledge, one must have one must start working as an intern or gain some experience to actually guide you, to navigate you what is the area you're liking the most. Like in my case, I started with patent prosecution, but then I felt something is missing. I'm not enjoying it. Then I got into patent litigation, and somehow I got to know, okay, I'm liking it very much, better than prosecution. I'm just responding to examination reports is just so much better. So I please don't judge me that I'm favoring litigation over prosecution or drafting or analytical portfolios. So coming back to the point that one must have an experience of trying different things. That's very crucial to get to know, okay, I want to pursue this. No one can give you a straight jacket formula. Okay, you go and do this, you go and do that. Like in my case, people told me, okay, you're not fit to do this. I said, no, I'm not going to buy that unless I try that. So I advise that people must try and then take a call. Okay, I want to get into this field. So that's it from my side. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Anybody from the audience, if they have questions, they can put down the chat and we can direct to the speaker. And yes, one same question again for you, Dr. Shilpa ma'am, that what is your inspiration? Because I, coming from IB background, I understand a lot of reading. Even after 13 years, I'm reading every day, like you said, completely agree with that. So what inspires you and to do your everyday, like especially when you have to get out of your bed and start working in morning?
I'll differ here somewhere here from Vandana, what she said that, but I have my own take on that. I would say coming from like I mentioned, my entire journey of coming from medicine, I want to prove myself. My answer is I want to prove myself in the field of IP, and then everyone can grow from a diverse background. That's what motivates me every day.
Okay, so we have a questions from the audience that how important it is to qualify patent agent exam to start a career. So I think Dr. Shilpa ma'am, you can also answer, and I think Vandana coming from a IP as an IP counsel, both of you can answer on that. But how important it is to qualify patent agent examination?
Okay, Vandana, you want to go first or?
No, Dr. Shilpa, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. I would say patent agent exam to start your career is not mandatory. It's not prerequisite to start a career in patents. You must start with the career in analytics first, in patent analytics. Understand what is required there. In fact, most of the tech students, they start with a career without a patent agent qualification. So with that, you gain an insight of what goes on in analyzing a patent. You get to read patents. You get into the habit of reading the technologies. And then if you start liking that work, I think getting into that domain and clearing the exam makes all the more sense. And then the second part of my answer is, will patent agent exam help? It will definitely help. Why it will definitely help? Because if you want to know about how the law operates, it is mandatory. You get to clear the patent agent exam, and you know that only the qualified patent agents can handle the cases before the patent office, and they can advise the clients in a much better way. So yes, it is beneficial, but to start your career in IP, patent agent exam is not mandatory. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Vandana, ma'am, if your comments would be like, want to hear that?
Sure. Yeah, I would agree with Dr. Shilpa actually. So clearing patent agent exam is not a mandate to start your career in IP. I was not a patent agent when I started my career, although I had my law degree, but really not required. I know a lot of people who were not patent agents, but did have some technical background, as a part of their degrees. The point is to understand, have a good hold on the technical field, and go about different, explore what suits you well. You could look at analysis, patent analytics or IP analytics, as Dr. Shilpa mentioned. I started off with patent drafting and prosecution, but yeah, it really depends, where you're diving into. So depending on the organization you enter, the kind of exposure that you would get would vary. I would say start with whatever you get and then learn from there. Slowly you will get, as time passes, you will get to know what are the different areas that are there. And of course, over a period of time, you can apply for your patent agent exam, and I'm sure you'll be able to get through that. So being a patent agent mainly is important if you are going to work directly with the law firms, with the patent offices. In most of the IP counsel roles or in-house counsel roles, this may not be, or you may not be the first point of contact with the patent office. There would always be a law firm in between. And usually, all the communication to the patent office happens via these law firms. So that is also something that you can keep in mind, when it comes to patent agent exam. So it is a good thing to have, of course, because you give yourself a chance to look at what are the different legal provisions available in the Patent Act. You get well versed with that. You understand the procedure. That way you'll be able to explain to the business whenever they need it. That really helps. But yeah, for an in-house counsel, I would say it is not a mandate, of course.
Awesome.
I just want to jump in on this as well. So as I said, I started my firm 2 years ago, and not a single person in my firm is a patent agent. What I really want to say is that it is still important to understand what it takes to be a patent agent. So we've all prepared for the exam because, like these two ladies have said, the skills necessary are so important. But outside of like traditional prosecution litigation, I still think there are a lot of roles and other skills which do not require you to be a patent agent. And especially, we all know the exam's not happening for 3 years, and we don't know if it's still going to happen this year. But I think, even if you're not a patent agent, I don't think that should hinder you from entering the IP industry. There's so many opportunities still around. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. There are a lot of opportunities, and patent agent is just a stone. And when I also did my engineering, like everybody told me, like Dr. Shilpa told, just give the exam. So I also started same, and I qualified, I think, in 2009, maybe after you, ma'am. So yeah, one more interesting question which I want to have a comment on.
Sheshta, if I may jump in.
Yeah, sure.
The same topic. I know everybody was talking about patent agent exam. I've been in IP field for almost 7 years now, and I'm not a patent agent. And it has actually not required. I have never found a need to actually attempt the exam or, be a patent agent. I have found my love in the trademarks field. I am a trademark agent. Mm-hmm. Apart from that, I completely agree with all the ladies that, reading is really important. And I've been concentrating on that. So what I am doing is acquiring technical knowledge and helping all the jurisdictions. So it's like the foundation is your technical knowledge, and I'm just building on that. And 7 years and not a patent agent yet.
Awesome. I think that will set a great example for other people that yes, we can have a successful career like Deepa ma'am, like you're specializing into trademarks. Yeah, one last question I want to take, for which I want comments from all the speakers today. That because I also come from engineering background. I think everybody here has some kind of science background before jumping into patents. So how did we decided that this is a better career choice than going into core engineering, maybe into R&D or quality control or something else? Maybe we'll start with Dr. Shilpa ma'am.
Yeah, sure. I decided that, okay, I want to pursue this full time and there should be no looking back, was when I actually appeared before the patent offices. And I could see so many diverse inventions coming my way. I was handling so many files with different inventions. I thought I'm just loving it. Okay, in my entire life, I couldn't have come across such a diversity. had I been not pursuing this patents field, I would have been just been a medical practitioner, just in my setting my own clinic, and I would be. I imagine, would I be content with that life? My answer always came no. So with that answer of no, I decided yes to the patents life, and then I said, okay, there should be no looking back, and I'm going to give my 100% to it. So my love for different kind of technologies and inventions, what motivated me to streamline my career in patents. Yeah.
Awesome, great. Over to Vandana ma'am, maybe.
Yeah, I think I am on the same boat as Dr. Shilpa. So I completed my master's degree, or I was doing my master's degree when I came across IP, and I found it extremely fascinating. And by that time, I sort of realized a part of me knew that I did not want to continue in the research field. I did not want to do my PhD. And IP seemed very interesting. It felt that I would still continue to be on the tech side. I would know, my entire work on getting a master's degree is not going to go down the drain if I'm looking at some or moving towards a different career altogether. I would still stay in touch, and I would continue to learn more. So yeah, that seemed like a fantastic alternate career for me. So that's exactly why I chose it.
Deepa ma'am or Shwang ma'am, maybe you want to say something.
I'll go.
All right.
So, yeah, right after engineering for I think about 3 months, I did work as a software developer. I knew that I was really good at the understanding the technicalities and everything, but sitting and coding was not my cup of tea. I realized it was just taking one piece of my soul every day I go to office. So that's when I realized, no, it's not for me. So that was like, I think right after engineering, I moved into IP.
Awesome. And how ma'am, you are building a team at Kommit, because I know you are responsible for that. So are you getting a lot of engineers and legal combination people?
We're getting all kinds of people. I think people don't even read the job description, they're just applying. But which is good, which is actually still good, because I think you should still take the opportunity, even if you have you're risking getting rejected. If you want to enter the industry, you should always try. Yeah.
Awesome. I think it was a great and engaging session. Chiza, we'll move on to thank you note, and we'll just wind up this session.
Okay.
Can I ask some?
Yeah, please.
Is it permissible?
Yeah, sure, please. We can take one more question from you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. And ma'am, I have a particular question regarding to the territorial placement. I'm a B Farm, and I have a 5-year of experience as a medical rep, which is a marketing job after the B Farm. And I'm pursuing LLB. I'm in the last semester of the LLB, and I want to pursue the career as a patent attorney or a in-house counsel. So can I have a job opportunity, or can I have a particular career opportunity in Chandigarh specifically as a territory, not in Delhi or in big metro cities? I don't want that big metro cities, but particularly Chandigarh or nearby. Can it possible or not?
Sedev, I'd like to jump here. So basically, to answer your question, there would be law firms, or there would be IP which would be based out of Chandigarh. Maybe you could look out for those and see if they have job opportunities. You should reach out to them and apply. So definitely, it's a possibility that you can practice from Chandigarh. Yeah. And also, even in future, if you want to pursue your patent agent and patent agent exam, and you become a patent agent, it wouldn't matter. I mean, you wouldn't have to move to Delhi or Mumbai, wherever the patent offices are located, because all the filings can be handled online. And that's how, most of the firms are functioning as well. So yeah, nothing stops you from starting your journey from Chandigarh.
And one more thing,
thank you.
Sadev, maybe you can look out at a lot of pharma companies which are at Baddi location, which is nearby your location, I guess. So there might be some opportunities like in-house counsel in such pharma companies which are there nearby Chandigarh area. That's information I have about that area.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Sadev. And over to you, Shiza ma'am. We'll just wind up the session.
Okay, after this significant and interactive session, I would like to thank our guest speakers for becoming a vital part of this webinar. Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us with your words. I would also like to thank Mrs. Cheshta Sharma and Mr. Kirtiman Sharma on behalf of my colleagues and the entire team of IIPTA for giving us the opportunity to learn and gain knowledge in domain of intellectual property. So audience, I would like to mention to visit our website. It's www.iipta.com and take a precise knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, our eminent speakers, and thank you all the awesome audience. And I can see we reached up to like 100 audience, and I was not able to admit more because my room size was 100 only. And all the eminent speakers are there on LinkedIn, and please feel free to follow them or get some inspiration for them. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Cheshta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Shiza. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.